This conference will now be recorded.
So today let us enter into the next part of our code Java, that is Java OOP. OOP stands for Object Oriented Programming. In this object oriented programming, we will be learning the concepts like the meaning of classes, objects, this reference. Then we discuss about constructors, then static keyword, packages, inheritance, polymorphism, then super reference, final keyword. We go with the inner classes, access modifiers, then abstract classes and interfaces. So very important. So if you are good with these concepts, understanding the remaining part of Java will be simple for us, right? Now, today let us start off with the first term, class. How to define a class is like, a class is a collection of data members and methods. What makes a class? It's a collection of what? Data members and methods. Now, like example, how to create a class? By using a keyword class. By using a keyword class and the name of the class. Like example, I'm going here with employee. Open and close curly braces. Meaning the class begins at this open curly brace and at this closing curly brace. Now for employee, we go with the data members like int employee number, string employee name, double employee salary. We go with the methods like void set employee details. So whenever we say method, we end with parenthesis like this with some code inside. Void display employee details with some code inside. So what makes a class? It's a collection of data members and methods. Once we create the class, outside of the class. So what do you mean by outside? After this class curly braces, if you try to give value to employee name, if you are trying to give value to the employee name, this will go with error. This goes with what? Error. Okay. So we cannot access these members of class outside directly. Once you create a class with some data members and methods, outside of class, if you are trying to use these members directly, this is an error. Then how to access these members? Using object. Now let us understand the next term here, object. How to define an object is like an instance of a class. An instance of a class is called as object. Instance means which occupies a memory space like a variable. The syntax of creating object in Java is, we go with the class name, then object name equal to new class name. So what is the syntax of creating object? Class name, then object name equal to new. By using new only, we create objects in Java, and class name parenthesis. This is having a special meaning which we discuss. Then, like example, What is the name of the class we have created above? Employee. So right here, employee, some object name E equal to new employee. In this, E is an object of class employee. Now, once we create this object, using this object only, we can access these members. So what is the important point here? The members of the class. When you say members, it can be your data members or methods. The members of the class are accessed using objects with dot operator. The members of class are accessed what? Using objects with the dot operator. Like example, so what is the object here? E with a dot operator. Now we can give value to employee number. By using object with the dot operator, now we can give value to employee name. We can call the method e dot set employee details like this, right? So using object with the dot operator only, we can access these members. This is the major important point. And one more very important point, which we do some mistakes. Like remember, whenever we create an object of a class, don't assume that the methods will get invoked automatically. It won't go to the methods automatically until you call it explicitly. So by using object, when you call the method set employee details, then only it will go to the method. The code in the method will get executed. Clear these points? Any questions up to here? No. Let us understand all these parts using the program employee test.java. Open Eclipse. Right click on project and say new class. Employee test. Employee test. And with main method inside. Now, in this, let us create a class employee with the data members like int employee number, string employee name, double employee salary. Now, let us go with a method void set employee details. Whenever we call the method set employee details, now we give value to employee number, we give value to employee name, we give value to employee salary. Let us go with one more method void display employee details. So whenever we call the method display employee details, we are going to display the value of data members. So employee number, the value of employee number, employee name, the value of employee name, and employee salary, the value of employee salary. Right? Now, one more point, understand carefully. Whenever we are writing a Java program, we have to follow some standards. We have to follow the standards. Standards means they are not syntax rules. So suggestion. So like the Java coding standards are like, whenever we go with the class name, the case sensitivity is like first letter of every word is capital. Employee only one word, E is capital. Employee test two words. Employee test two words, E capital, T capital. So when you go with the class name, first letter of every word is capital. When you go with the variable names, first letter of first word is small and remaining words first letter is capital. When you go with method, same. First letter of first word is small, remaining words first letter is capital. Okay, so when you are writing your own codes also, follow the same standards what Java has given to us, which we call Java coding standards. Now, once you create the class with some data members and methods, to run a Java program, which method is required inside class? Main method. So, can we have this main method in class employee? No issues, because Java supports multiple main methods, no problem at all. But writing main method in class employee is not suggested. I'm not saying we should not do, it is not suggested. The reason is, whenever you go with a class, in that if you are managing some data, here we are managing employee data. So the class in which you manage some data or the class in which you do some business logic, try to avoid writing main method. I'm saying try to avoid only. Okay, so in reality what we do, we create one test class like this with main method. Inside we create objects of other classes. That is a suggested programming. So the reason behind that is, in your project if you are having hundreds of classes and if every class goes with main method, then it creates ambiguity, confusion between the developers that which is the entry class, which is the main class. That confusion will occur. That's the reason the class in which you manage some business data or when you manage some business logic or manage some data, try to avoid writing main method. In reality, we go with a test class with main method inside. In that, we create objects of other classes. So what are the words I said? It's only suggestion, not the rules. Right? Now, here what you are doing? You are creating a class employee with some data members and methods. So here we are going with this 3 data members and some methods. Now, when you run this program, it comes to this employee test main method. It enters into employee test main method. In this main method, we create object of the class employee. How to create object? Already we know. Employee E1 equal to new employee. Then we call the method E1.display employee details. So when you call E1.display employee details, then what do you think the output will be? Can anyone guess the answer for this program? What is the output of this program? What values it's going to display for number, name and salary when you call this method E1.display method?
Null values.
Yeah, null values, something better answer. So instead of saying null values, what answer we should say? Default values. Default values. So for employee number 0 because it's of type integer. So what is the default value for integer? 0. For employee name, null. So since employee name is of type string, reference type, for any reference type default value is null. For salary 0.0, that is double. For double, what is the default value? 0.0. So very important point. Whenever we create an object of a class, this is the main point of today's class. Whenever we create an object of a class, it's going to allocate new memory. It's going to allocate new memory for your data members. So it's going to allocate memory for number, name and salary. Referred with object name like E1 dot employee number, then E1 dot employee name, then E1 dot employee salary. So whenever we create new object of a class, it's going to allocate new memory for data members, and the values in data members will be default values. Since employee number is of type integer, so what is the default value for integer? 0. employee name string, what's the default value? Null. Salary double 0.0, right? Now, so what is the important point? When a new object is created for a class, then it allocates new memory. Then it allocates new memory for all data members of the class, and the values in data members are default values, and the values in data members are what here? Default values. So I'm writing default values once again for your reference. For all integral types like byte, short, int, long, the default value is 0. For floating types like float and double, it is 0.0. For character, a single space. For boolean, small b, it is false. And for any reference type like string, it is null. Right? Any questions, anyone? Now, let us once to create object, let us call the method even dot set employee details. Now, when you call the method even dot set employee details, then it will go to this set method. These values are given to the data members. Now, when you call display method, these values will get displayed. See here. So when we run, we are getting employee number 101, name Ramu, salary 6,000. Now let us create one more object of class. Employee E2 equal to new employee, and we call the method E2 dot display method. So when you call E2 dot display method, see the result what we get? Default values. So as I mentioned now, whenever we create new object, new memory, default values. That is a blind rule you should remember. Now if you call the method E2 dot set employee details, now see the output. See, we are getting see employee number 101, Ramu 6,000. For E2 object also same. So in this program, how many employee objects you create, and when you call set method, it is going to give same values to all the data members. It's going to give same value for your object. Same 111 Ramu 6,000, 111 Ramu 6,000. Because when you are assigning values directly to the data members inside a method, this type of coding we call hard-coded data. Hard-coded data. So when you go with hard-coded data, how many objects you create, and when you call set method, these values will remain same for all objects, which is not good in reality. Then how to avoid hard-coding? How to avoid hard-coding is by sending data to the method in the form of arguments. So when you call even.set method, send the data related to the method in the form of arguments like 101, the name, and salary. 102, the name, and salary. So send the data related to your object in the form of arguments. So to this set method, since we are passing arguments, we have to take the arguments here like int eno, string ename, and double salary. So what will happen? This 111 will go and store into envo, Ramu will go and store into ename, and 6,000 will go into salary. Now replace this 111 with envo, ename with Ramu with ename. It is no more called hard coded. Now 6,000 with salary. That's it. So how to avoid hard coding? By sending data to the method in the form of arguments. Now see when we run, we get our desired output 101, 102. Clear this concept? How to avoid hard coding? Now whatever the data member names we have taken, we want to use the same spellings for this arguments also. Like this, instead of ENO, we want to go with EMP number. Instead of ename, EMP name, and here EMP salary. Then here we have to replace with EMP number, EMP name, and EMP salary. But see the output what we get? Default values. The reason is when you are sending this 101 to employee number, it's going to allocate a memory for this argument. Their arguments are like local variables. So it's going to allocate memory for this employee number whose value is 101. Now what you are doing? You are assigning employee number to employee number. So this employee number will come here. So you are assigning to employee number. Which employee number? It will come and store into its own location. It will come and store into its own location. It's not going to the data members. So the values what you have given, it's not going to the data members. That's the reason we are getting default values. Then the solution for this is when the data member names and argument names are same, how to differentiate is by using a keyword this dot employee number, this dot employee name, then this dot employee salary. So what is this? This represents current object, meaning if A1 is calling set method, this is replaced with A1. If A2 is calling set method, this is replaced with A2. This means current object. Now, so when we run, we get the desired result. So what is the next important definition? This reference, very simple. This refers to the current object. This reference is generally used to differentiate data members of a class and arguments of a method when the names are same. So if the names are different, then we need not worry about this keyword. Clear this concept, everyone? In the next program, you will automatically see about this keyword. Right? Any questions? No. Let me ask a small question again. Whenever we create new object for a class, what values are given to the data members? Anyone?
Default value.
Very good. It will go with the default values. Now the objective is we don't want to go with the default values. Whenever we create an object of a class, it's going with default values, but we want to go with our own values, not default values. In this program, you are going with your own values only when you call set method. But the objective is when I create object only, I want to go with our own values, not default values. In that case, we go with a concept like constructors. So, like example, if we take a class sample with two data members int, m, and n. Now, outside of the class, when you create object, sample is equal to new sample, then, and if you print here, in SPP, if you print s dot m space s dot n, then what is the result we get here? Default value 0, 0. Now the objective is for m, we want to go with the 10, n we want to go with the 10, 20. Then what we have to do? Inside a class, we create a method whose name is same as the class name. Inside the class, we go with a method whose name is same as the class name. And here we write m equal to 10, n equal to 20. Now whenever you say sample is equal to new sample, So we are referring to this method and where we are giving m equal to 10 and n equal to 20. Now when you print m and n value, the result is 10, 20. So the method whose name is same as class name, this method we call it as a constructor. So in Java, we create objects by referring to constructor. This is a constructor here. In Java, we create objects using constructors. So how to define a constructor is like a constructor is a special method whose name is same as the class name. A constructor is what? It's a special method whose name is same as the class name, which is used to initialize the object. Which is used for what? To initialize the object. Initialize the object means giving values to data members and does not return anything, not even void. Should not go with any return type here. You should not go with any return type. If you create a method whose name is same as class name but having return type, but the name is same as class name, then this is not a constructor. It don't go with error. It's a not a constructor, an ordinary method. It is not treated as constructor, it will be ordinary method. In Java, objects are created using constructors. In Java, we create objects what? Using constructors. So what is a constructor? Whenever you create a class, so if you create a method whose name is same as class name, these methods we call them as constructors. So whenever you create object of a class, it will go to this constructor and these values are given to the data members. Now, let us understand this with the code. Constructor demo 1. Open Eclipse. Right click on project and say new class constructor demo 1 with main method. In this, let us create a class sample with two data members int m and n, and let us go with a constructor which takes argument int m, int n. Now if you observe, is the data member names and argument names are same? Data member names and argument names are same, right? Then how to differentiate? Which keyword we have to use to differentiate data members and arguments? This keyword, right? This dot m equal to m, this dot n equal to n. Right, good. Now let us go with the method display. Whenever we call the method display, we'll print the value of m and n. M equal to the value of m space n equal to the value of. Now coming to main method, create object of sample. Sample is equal to new sample. To the constructor we'll pass the values 10, 20. What will happen? This 10, 20 will go and store into this arguments m and which are given to the data members. Now when you call the method s.display, the output is m equal to 10, n equal to 20. Simple. Now so when we run, we get the result here. So whenever we create object, at that time only we want to give value to data members. This we do by using a constructor. So this sample method, what you have created inside a class, we call it as a constructor.
So Raj, one question here is, like,
Yes,
do
Chirag.
we need do we need to pass this sample to the display? sample method to the display as a parameter?
Not
No.
required. Not required, because in display I'm just printing m and n value. M and n value already they are ready with the values, right? These values are already given here.
But how they are passing to the display?
Here, this display method belongs to same class, right?
Oh, okay. So you don't have to put the reference as
Not
sample to the
required.
display.
These values are directly taken here
Oh,
because they are.
okay. Okay.
If it is outside the class, then we have to pass some data, or we have to take the value using object. Okay, since we are in the same class, we can take these values directly here. Got it?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, here we are having some important points on constructors. If a class does not contain a constructor, Java creates a default constructor. Default constructor means no argument constructor. No argument constructor. Like example, if you go with a class sample, if you are not creating any constructors, Java is going to create a constructor for you like this. Java is going to create a constructor like this. So this only we call default constructor added implicitly. Added implicitly. So when you are not writing this constructor, Java will create this constructor for you. Let me prove this. To prove, let me open command prompt or terminal. Then let me say here notepad sample.java. So here we are having the class sample, right? So we are having the class sample. But did we write any code inside this sample? No code inside. We are not having any code inside this sample. Now let us compile this. How to compile? Java C sample.java. Then after compiling, if I use dir, see a dot class file has been created. Now I want to see the skeleton of this dot class file. Means I want to see the profile. Profile means what data members your class includes, what methods your class includes. How to see the profile is by using the command java p and the name of the class. Java p and the class name. Okay. So some error because we had to do the path setting. So where is our Java located? In program files, Java JDK23 bin folder. Copy this and come back to the prompt and say set path equal to, paste the address, semicolon, percentage path percentage semicolon. Now when I say Java p sample, see, observe now, here we are not having any methods inside the class, but after compiling, a new method got created inside class sample automatically. So this method only we call default constructor. Default constructor is created automatically. But when your class does not have any constructors only, if there are no constructors only, Java is going to create default constructor for you. Clear this point, all of you? Now let us understand more on this using a program. Constructor demo 2. Open Eclipse. Right click on project and say new class constructor demo 2 with main method. Now in this, let us create a class book with book ID, string book name. Now go with a constructor book which takes argument int book ID, string book name. Since if you observe that data member names and argument names are same, then how to differentiate using this keyword. This dot book ID equal to book ID, this dot book name equal to book name. Now take a method display. So whenever we call display method, we will display the value of data members like book ID, the value of book ID, book name, the value of book name. Now coming to main method, here create object of book, book b1 equal to new book, and to the constructor we will pass the book ID 101 and the name learn sprint. So these two values will come and store into these arguments which are given to the data member, same like previous program. Now if you call the method b1.display, see the output what we get? Same. Book ID 101, book name learn sprint. Same like previous code. Now let us create one more object of your class. Let us create one more object, book b2 equal to new book. Now we'll say b2.display. So can anyone guess what is the output of this program now? What is the output of this code? If this code is given to you like this, simple, right? Line number 20. What you are seeing? Error. We are seeing error here because whenever a class contains a constructor, see observe we are having this class book, we are having already a constructor. So whenever a class contains a constructor, will Java create default constructor for you? No. But when you are creating object of book class, we are referring to default constructor. Since this constructor, since this method is not present in your class, we are getting error. So the suggestion is whenever a class contains parameterized constructor, means argument constructor, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to create a default constructor. Programmer has to do this job. It's a suggestion. So why we have to follow this suggestion? We'll understand more when we come to inheritance. See now the result we get default values. So what is the suggestion? What is the next point here? If a class contains a parameterized constructor, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor in the class. So programmer has to do this job. It's a suggestion point. We'll discuss more on this point when we come to inheritance. Why we should do like this. Clear these points? Any questions? No. Coming to the assignments. Java OOP assignments. I'll be sharing a document with you. Java OOP assignments. I'll be sharing a document. Java OOP assignments. So in this document, you can find the programs here, the questions. You can find the questions. So totally we are having 10 questions here, 10 programs. Okay, for today's based on the topics covered, you can complete up to 5. You can do up to 5 programs. Okay, but not mandatory to do all 5 programs. Try to complete at least the first 2 programs. Try to complete what? At least first 2 programs. And one more point is, whatever the class name I ask you to create, you have to create the same class. Let us suppose in your project there is already class with the same name, then go with the name like student1, student2, account1, account2, like that, no problem. But whatever the data member names I asked, whatever the method names I asked to create, you have to go with the same methods only. So based on the task given, you follow the task as it is. Then only your program will become correct. Okay, so try to do these programs, at least minimum 2 programs try to complete, so that you will be good with object oriented. Only when you submit the programs, I can guide you properly whether you are writing correct programs or not. Right? So I'll be sharing this document. And coming to previous assignments, so let us go with this code. Like, write a program to check whether the given age is major or minor. So if it is greater than or equal to 18, we'll say major, else minor. And I've given one more small note. If the age is less than 0, then display invalid age. Right? Let us write this code. Check age.java. Right click on project and say new class. Check age with main method. Here, create object of scanner. Connect to keyboard. Then go with the message. Enter age. Now we'll accept into variable age, int age equal to s dot next int. Now we have to check whether it is major or minor only if it is greater than 0. If the age is greater than 0, then only we have to think of major and minor. So check here. If age less than 0, then go with the message invalid age. Go with the message invalid age. Else, now you check here. If age greater than or equal to 18, then we'll say major, else will directly say minor. Right? So if age is less than 0 negative, we are directly saying invalid age. So when it comes to else part, only if it is greater than 0 only it will come to else part. Else it won't come to else part at all. So once it comes to else part, we are checking whether it is major or minor. Now see when we run, if I go with age like -5, it will say invalid age, and it will stop here only. It will stop here only. It won't come to else part at all. If you run the code, if I say something like 25, it will say major. If you run the code, if you say 12, it is going to say minor. Right? Okay. So let me stop here for today. And tomorrow we go with the remaining part of object oriented, where we discuss about static keyword and packages tomorrow. And even we'll see the solution of previous assignments. Great. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you.